So today's topic is how to manage the cloud resources in AWS. So let's start with it. Once you will log into AWS console, you are going to look at this interface. So let's start with it and let's explore to see how you can provision various services on AWS. So first of all, you will click on your account and you will see that there are various settings regarding your account that you have created, also your billing account, because this here you will add some credit card or the way you need to pay to AWS to use their services, and some settings as well. So after that, you can go to the services. There are literally hundreds of services available in the AWS cloud, and all those services can be accessed using here. And you can see that there are some nice categories as well, and based on those categories you can provision the service. So in the terms of cloud, when you try to access some or use some service, you say that we are actually provisioning the service. So we will see three services today, which are EC2, S3 buckets, and Athena. So the purpose is not to show you that what these services are or how they really works, but to show you that how can you provision those services and getting started with anything that you want to have in the cloud. So if you will start with the compute at the basic level, that is you know that there in the cloud there are three things: infrastructure as service, platform as a service, and the software as a service. So if you want to provision a virtual machine that you want to fully deploy, and from the scratch you want to install the softwares by yourself, or deploy the workload that you want, so you will go to the compute section and then you'll click on the EC2. So once you will click over here, you are going to see all of the instances is one. Let's say if you have created the virtual machines of Linux, Ubuntu, Windows, so there will be and one of them is running. So which one is, how many of them are running, you can see all those in here. So this is the interface of EC2, and if you will like to create a new instance, you will click here launch instance, and then you will provision that service as well. We will see that how you can do it, but for right now let's click on another service and see. This is an S3, just like a Google Drive where you can store the data. You can create an S3 bucket on the Amazon. It is a lot more flexible than the Google Drive. I have shared the example with you because you can query them, the data that is present in here. Okay, so this is store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. It is scalable, secure, and its performance is good. So you go to the services, you pick what you want, and you just create that service and you can readily use it. And in the same way, you have another service, let's see, which is, if you cannot see here, you can search that here like this, Athena. Okay, again the purpose is not to show you what that service is doing. You just need to be aware of that there are services exist, and even that there are hundreds of services, it doesn't mean that you need to know about all of those services. You just need to know about the services that you want, and because it has services related to every business sector or every category, so the services will be obviously different, and it is humanly not possible to learn about all of them. So you will create your S3 bucket. You want to perform some analysis, you will use the Athena service, and using that you will point out to your data source. You can query the things just like you run the SQL statements in the relational databases. Query that, and then you can perform the analysis in here. Okay, so let's start with how we can provision some services, going back to the basic thing, which is infrastructure as a service. And I'll open the EC2 service from here. In the EC2, let's create some instance first. So we will click on the launch, and you need to click here to launch the instance. So in here you can see that there are literally thousands of applications and OS images that are already present, and this is actually the beauty of the cloud, that you don't have to first download the ISO files from the internet and then upload here and then install them. You will have all those machines ISOs present in here automatically. Okay, so you can pick and choose from here. Okay, so let's say I write the name as first machine. Then from here you can deploy, let's say we picked for this time, we say you can move it like this as well. You say that okay, I want to deploy the let's say Ubuntu. Okay, and also there is another Amazon Linux, you can also use it. So I have used it, so this is free tier, I'm using the free tier, so it is, I'm eligible for it. And let's move to here. You can select the architecture, it is either it should be ARM processor or Intel processor. Let's go with the default. And then you know that in whenever we buy some system from the market, the things that we are concerned about are the memory, the CPU, okay, and another is the hard disk that we need to have in their system. In here you can see that there are various different type of instances, like T2 micro will have one virtual CPU and 1 gig of the memory, and in the same way you can provision any group that you want, and you can see the prices in front of those. For now I would like to go with the micro set with 1 V CPU and 1 gig of memory with me. Okay, and the most common method to access the virtual machines are using the SSH. Okay, that is secure shell. If I want to connect with this machine, either I can use the SSH or I can use the remote desktop protocol, and I can connect with this machine using the remote desktop. Okay, or so for that, if you want to make it secure and use SSH, you need to create a key name pair in here. Okay, so you will click over here, you don't have any key pair that exists already, so I'll click here, create a new pair. It will ask me the type of file that I want to create. If I will use the OpenSSH to connect, I need .pem file, and for putty it will ask for the .ppk file. And from here, the algorithm that you're interested in, you can also choose that. You need to write the name of the key pair, so I will create it as a demo for now, and click here create key pair. So a key pair is created based on demo. Okay, I have here that. Now from here you can perform some network settings as well, because without the network settings configuration, like you can control many things from here. You can create the security groups and set the ingress and egress traffic, control the network traffic that you allow, and from here if you allow the SSH, okay, because we created the key pair here, we'll allow the SSH to connect to this instance. We'll call it as an instance, not a machine. So from where you want to connect with it, either my own IP address, or I would allow it to be connect from anywhere. So this is bad, I don't want any people to connect with it. I can set my own IP address here, and what type of traffic you want to process to this instance, either using the HTTPS only, or you either interested in the HTTP as well. Once done with this, so this is the security groups. This is a security group I'm creating right now. If I have some network settings configured, I have spent some time on that, I can select that existing group and can use that here. Okay, so storage is not the part of this instance type, because we can select different type of storages independent of the type of instance that we are selecting from here. Okay, it gives you a level of more flexibility. From here, how many disks that you need, you can provide the size of disk, and then you need to provide it in the gigabytes actually. So I'm using the free tiers and I'm only eligible for the 30 gigs of the data. And either you need the general purpose SSD, it will obviously a little more expensive than the HDD. You can control that from here as well. Okay, the type of disk that you want and how much transactions it should allow, how many IOs it should be possible in this. Also, if you want it to be encrypted or not, also you can add more than one volumes in here through this procedure. Okay, let's click on the advanced detail. We are not going to look at these advanced details for right now, and let's see that what else should we look for. Okay, that I think I'm done with everything, so I have named it as my first machine. Now after you have done adding your name, we are good to go. Just click on the launch instance and it will start creating an instance for us. So you see that how quick it is to deploy a machine of the strength or the power that you want. It's just a click of second. As I was showing you these things, so it seems that it takes more time, but not. If you are good with it, you just have to provide two names, one for the public private key pair and another for the machine name, and you will have the instances with you. Okay, so if you go to the instances, you see that our instance is right now present here. We have provisioned an instance successfully. Okay, so we will see that how we can use it. If I go to the EC2 dashboard, okay, so you can see that now we have one security group as well that we had created. I have the SSH file .pem file actually, that is a public private key pair file. I can use this to SSH using my own machine to this system. So in the next labs we are going to look at the detail how to further use these resources. Right now let's provision our next service, which is S3. So S3 is a simple storage bucket, short for S3. So you create a bucket, you need to click here. It is just a storage, it is not the compute that we are looking for. We just are interested in the storage. So you can write here the demo bucket. You need to provide the name of it, and these are actually the availability zone. You can select the zone that is closest to you if you need the faster access. Okay, or based on let's say that you have some perform some geofencing and you don't want your data to be in some other country, you can select from here that where you want to deploy that data. Okay, so the next thing is from here. Okay, so copy settings from existing bucket. If you have already created, you can select the settings from here, or you can select, if you are newly creating this, you can set this for first time. So ACLs are access control list. Okay, so objects in this bucket can be owned by other AWS accounts. So in the access control list, you will mention who can access the data or the resources that are present in the S3 bucket. So right now I don't want to do that. I just am showing you how to provision the resources. So you'll just click here, ACL disabled. The second thing, from where you want to allow the data to get accessed. If I want to allow it from anywhere, I will click block all. I don't want to allow it from anywhere, I will say block all the public access. If I'll uncheck, I'll have the four options. How you want to allow? either based on the access control list that would be created, or there are some other options as well. Okay, so we are good to go. We don't have to set anything else in here. If you want to set the encryption or add some tags in here, the tags will help identify the type of data out of it. Also, you can perform some advanced setting in here. We are good to go. So we'll create a bucket. Okay, so it says that this name already exists, so I will say first dash demo bucket. So I'll create a bucket. Okay, so right now I don't have sufficient permissions to set up the permissions. Okay, we will look at that why we are not allowed to do that, but for right now I have my bucket in here. You can click first bucket and you can upload any data to the bucket. Okay, so we have now a bucket, S3 bucket, and a resource which is EC2. If I go back to the EC2 resource and let's say I go to the instances, we have our instances are currently in the running state. So I can click here instance state and I can restart it or reboot it, but first I have to check it. So I'll create the reboot instance and I can reboot this machine. So the machine is rebooted successfully. Also from here, this section, all the settings that we have done while we were provisioning the EC2, we can see all the settings are present in here which are related to the EC2. Okay, this is the public IP address of this machine. We have not configured yet any security setting. We just did that only our IP address is allowed to connect using SSH on the port 22, and that we have set here. We can create a virtual private network VPC and perform all the settings on that. Okay, and this is the storage related setting. Storage is independent of that the instance type, so we can add any kind of storage in here. Okay, and you also can perform the monitoring of it, that what traffic is coming inside or how many disk operations are performing. So this is a pretty good level of monitoring. Also you can provision some monitoring resource as well from here, and using those resources you can perform set some triggers, perform some monitoring and the things like that. Also, if you have like hundreds of machines, you want to add some keywords so that quickly find this machine out, so you can set some tags in here. Again, it is at the basic level. So as these things are present with the EC2 as well, so they must be with the S3 bucket as well. So if I go to the S3 bucket, this is my bucket. Click here, you see that I'm getting all the settings that I can change from here. Okay, like the permissions, who can access to this or not. Remember, we have blocked the public access to this, and if no one is accessing the S3 bucket, then there is no purpose for it to be there. So we can change it. Okay, and we can set it to something else. Okay, like block public access to buckets and object granted to any access control. So we will first need to create an access control list, and only the users that are present in the access control list would be allowed to get access to this S3 bucket. So I can change it. I have to write here confirm, because I am changing the access level. Okay, so I have successfully added it. Now a public access check is off and the new check is turned on, which is this, that I will create an access control list, and based on that I will allow the access to it. So I think that we are have seen it. So it's time to now delete the S3 bucket that we have just created. So for deletion, you can click on the delete. Here you have to rewrite the name, which is first dash demo bucket, and you just click on the delete bucket option. It will now delete, and in the same way we'll click on the EC2, and then we can go to the instances, and we can also delete this instance as well. So we have to check it first, and then we are going to go, let's see the instance stage. So we can click on the terminate. So are you sure you want to terminate this instance? Yes, we are sure. So it will terminate the instance. Okay, and from here I can go back to in here. Okay, so this terminate instance has actually deleted the instance. Okay, it seems like the terminate will actually just shut down. No, for that we can use the stop instance. Terminate is that this instance will completely go away. So in this lab we have seen how to provision the services, and basically we have seen two in a little detail, that is EC2 and S3 bucket. So this is about the AWS, and in the next labs we are going to see that in Google Cloud Platform, and obviously the Microsoft Azure as well, that how we can provision these resources in those cloud environments. I'm not telling you right now that the theory of the cloud, like what is IaaS, PaaS, platform as service, PaaS, and software as a service, and what are different management level and data plane level things. I'm just showing you how you can do the stuff on all three major cloud vendors. So if you're interested in that thing as well, do let me know and I will help you out in that. So see you next time. I think you have understood it. If you have some questions, you can ask me, and do check out the next videos in the playlist as well. So bye bye.